Boo! Anybody home? Big bad vampire out here.
Blah, blah, blah.
I do not say blah to the blah, 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 blah.
It's the modern day vampire, bruh.
Oh, is that you got away?
Welcome, dear listeners, to another spine-chilling episode of Harlots' Spooktalk podcast. I'm Karli.
And that's right, we're your ghostly guides through the shadowy realms of the supernatural. I'm Pteloma.
And I'm La Monyeka. Together with our vampirist leader, Karli, we're here to take you on a bloody journey that will leave you breathless and bloody around every corner.
Today, we're diving deep into the heart of Romania, a land steeped in mystery and legend. Get ready for another around-the-world haunted Romania Vampire Chronicles.
We'll explore the chilling tales that surround Bran Hotel and the infamous figure of Dracula himself, Vlad The Impaler.
And don't forget about Sighisoara, the birthplace of Vlad, and the town that whispers secrets from centuries in the past.
Plus, we'll be sharing some eerie insights into haunted Transylvania, where every shadow could be hiding a ghostly presence.
So grab your blood-red beverages and settle in as we unravel these vampire tales that have haunted our imaginations for generations.
And remember, if you enjoy our frightful discussions, or you have a spooky story to share, don't hesitate to reach out to us via email at harlotsofspooktalk@gmail.com.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep up with all our paranormal adventures.
Now let's dim the lights and prepare for a journey into darkness.
Because here at Harlots of Spooktalk, we believe every ghost story is worth telling.
Kicking off this week's episode of Around the World Hauntings, we're doing Romania. I'm starting with Bran Castle, often referred to as Dracula Castle. It's not only famous for its beauty and historic significance, but also for its eerie tales and ghostly apparitions, and long been a focal point for stories of hauntings and supernatural occurrences. The most famous association with the Bran Castle, of course, is the legend of Dracula. Well, we all know who this is, and we're going to be going over it with him in a short bit. But the historic figure who inspired Bram Stoker's fictional Count Dracula likely never lived in this castle. The eerie atmosphere and remote location of Bran Castle have made it a fitting backdrop for Dracula myths. Visitors often reported feeling an unsettling presence in the castle itself. So maybe Vlad himself is still there, if he ever really visited this castle. Now, one of the other legends is the White Lady of Bran Castle. One of the most enduring ghost stories of Bran Castle is that of the White Lady. According to legend, the White Lady is the spirit of a noble woman who tragically died within the castle. Some say she was betrayed by a lover. but others believe she was wrongly accused of treason. Her ghost is said to wander the halls of the castle, dressed in a flowing white gown, emitting an aura of sorrow and melancholy. Witnesses claim to have seen her apparition near the chapel and in the courtyard. Another little ghost story is the mysterious monk. Another spectral ghost of Bran Castle is a ghost of a monk. Legend has it that a monk was bricked up alive within the walls of the castle as punishment for breaking his vows. His restless spirit is said to haunt the castle, particularly the old chapel and the narrow corridors. Visitors have reported hearing faint whispers and the sound of footsteps echoing in the empty hallways. Another story is the children's laughter. The sound of children's laughter, perhaps one of the most unsettling reported at Bran Castle. According to the local lore, the castle was once the site of a massacre during a siege, where many children lost their lives. Today, their spirits are believed to haunt the castle grounds themselves. Beyond ghostly apparitions, Bran Castle is rife with reports of unexplained phenomena. Flickering lights, sudden gusts of cold air, and the cessation of being watched are common experiences for those who dare to explore this castle. Despite, or perhaps because of its haunted reputation, Bran Castle remains a popular tourist destination. So if you ever get over to Romania, I dare you to go to Bran Castle. And let's see if Vlad the Impaler himself is still haunting those hallways. Next up is LD Pteloma, and she's going to explain who Vlad was.
So, Vlad the Impaler, born 1431 in Sighisoara, Transylvania, which I will get into that here in a minute, died in 1476, north of the present-day Bucharest, Romania, and he was a voivode, or which is like a military governor, or he was definitely the prince of Wallachia. That was 1448. And so he actually was known for cruel methods of punishment with his enemies, and that gave him like a notary, like that made him famous in the 15th century Europe. Some in the scholarly community have suggested that Bram Stoker's Dracula character is based off of Vlad. So Vlad was the second born of four brothers born in the noble family of Vlad II Dracula. His son, the Dracula, like it means like the son of Dracula, like, which is Latin Draco or dragon. I know it feels like we're getting a little far-fetched here, but it all will come together. So after his father's induction into the Order of the Dragon, created by the Holy Roman Emperor, and that's where the Sigismund for the defense of Europe against Ottoman Empire. Vlad moved to Targoviste, Wallachia, and sorry, some of these names are a little far-fetched for me. Okay, so that was in 1436 when his father amused leadership of the Wallachian gave him the leadership. Sorry. So in 1444, Vlad and his younger brother were sent to the court, and that's of the Ottoman Sultan, right? For used as collateral to assure the Sultan that their father, in a reversal of his previous position, would support the Ottoman policies, right? So Vlad returned in 1448, having been informed of the assassination of his father and elder brother at the hands of those Wallachian lawyers, or the nobles, if you will. Or so imagine all this like crazy shit going on. Excuse my language. Like he's sent off, comes back, everybody's dead. So Vlad at that point embarked upon like the first of a long-time series of campaigns to gain his father's seat. So now he's coming back for vengeance. Okay, so his opponents included the warriors as well as his younger brother, who was supported by the Ottoman Sultan. He emerged briefly victorious in 1448, but was deposed only like after 2 months. So after an 8-year struggle, Vlad again claimed the Voivodate. It was during this period of rule that the commitment he committed. I'm so sorry. We are having a motorcycle fest over here. My gosh. So it was during the period of rule that he committed the atrocities for which he was best known, his penchant for impaling his ground enemies on the stakes in the ground and leaving them to die. And that's what earned him the name Vlad the Impaler. How did I say it on the intro? Vlad the Impaler. Impaler. So
You gotta emphasize that one.
So far he's looking pretty good. You know what I mean? Okay, he's torn, he's heartbroken. So he inflicted the type of torture on foreign and domestic enemies. Noble, he retreated from a battle in 1460, filled with thousands of impaled victims as a deterrent to pursuing Ottoman forces. So that year he escaped the Ottoman capture, only to be intercepted by the Hungarian forces and imprisoned by Matthias one or the first of Hungary. So like, Lord my God, this man. So whose assistance he had sought. Vlad regained his seat in 1476, like I think I did say that before, but was killed in battle the same year. So he remained a folk hero in region for his efforts against the Ottoman battle, right? So it often has been thought, well, we'll get into the tea of it, of what we think happens. We'll get into that here in a moment. So, and La Monyeka is going to guide us through that.
All right, so the tea is hot, guys. We just talked about the hauntings, we talked about Vlad, and I'm just going to give you some extra juice and give you some tea with this, okay? So we had Karli talk about Bran Castle. I originally was going to do Transylvania, but then I was like, these are just both castles he was at. Now there are other castles that we haven't talked about, and like I said, I'm not going to get into Transylvania that much because it was just a place where he was. Now Vlad was considered to be what we call Dracula now because he came from that bloodline Dracosis. Was that right, girls? Right? Is that what it was? So now who we know now as Dracula in our movies came from this person who was called Vlad. Now, he, like we Mary and we have talked about it as well, how he was what we consider to be a blood warrior, a warrior of war, but spilled lots of blood. Now, the numbers were so high, I just couldn't even believe that somebody could take that many lives. Now, when we get into the castle that he was known to be at, we also, like we said, I was going to get into Transylvania, but when I started to get into Transylvania, I started to realize that these are just castles where he was at. You know, his main one that everybody knew him to be at during a lot of this time where he was killing and in these wars and these great big bloodbaths, where he was in Bran Castle. Now, Transylvania was also a place where he was and had stayed. And there's also a couple of other, I want to say 2 or 3 other castles I know that he has been in, lived in. Now, mind you, these are castles, guys. So back in the day when there was wars going on and things like that, well, in this type of era of war, you didn't just stay in one place and go back home. There were multiple places people could stay, but Vlad was known to stay at many different castles. And it begged the differ, is he really the vampire that people say he is? Now, his name was Vlad, of course. He was known to stay in the Bran Castle. We have Transylvania that everybody knows of, everybody talks about, and his name is still whispered in those walls. Everywhere in Transylvania, you will hear Dracula has stemmed from here. But when you go into Transylvania a little bit, you start to hear more of the background, the blood of him, how the name went from it's the Dracos or Dracos. I don't want to say it wrong, but it comes from that word. And in the movies now that we see, he's named Dracula. So we see the main person was Vlad, who was in these battles where he shed a lot of blood. Now, when Hollywood took a part of it, they said we're going to name him Dracula because it came from the last name he had. Now, we've got Twilight for the newer kids, for me, I grew up with John Carpenter's vampires and the Lost Boys. You know, you have many different eras of vampireism, I guess you could say. But for me, I'm a lover of the Lost Boys type of vampire, although I don't appreciate that they don't like us and they drink us, you know? I do love the love story in Twilight, but it's, you know, to each their own. But I think the way that Hollywood has made it out to be something so... Some people want to be that, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times when I've heard the whispers of things happening in Transylvania and the way people talk about where in Bran Castle and the whispers of the people who have actually been there and around these beings, I guess you could say, or around the atmosphere of this, they always say one thing. And one thing that I've heard, guys, and this is tea for y'all, so trust me when I say this. It is well known to know in history that if the vampires that we see in Hollywood as entertainment, if they really did exist, the whispers around those castles and the whispers around those people who have seen or heard or know a little bit of things that they don't want to tell us, is that our blood could never even stand the poison that they give us. So a lot of us, even if we wanted to be in that lifestyle, being bitten isn't something we can survive. So I know that sounds crazy because we're talking about different things, but I'm just telling you, I've heard and I've done the research enough to know that in the whispers of all these Transylvania places, in the place where Vlad actually lived in Bran Castle, and the whispers of the locals, which we know usually are true because they're locals, old school locals, elders that have been passed on, at those beings who are considered to be vampires now, have said to have told people, normal people that have passed it on to generations, is that the poison that they put inside of us when they bite, we would never, it's like 1 out of a billion can survive that, to transform into one of those. So I'm just gonna say, I like to enjoy the entertainment of it. I don't think I'd ever want to get bit, even though I like the way I probably look. For me, I like Vlad in the normal sense of him being a warrior. I mean, I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to comprehend how many deaths he had, but I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot more than we know. You know, that number I'm pretty sure was pretty light for me. I feel like he probably did more. But, you know, with everything going on in Transylvania, you know, the whispers that we hear about him, it's still said that they see him there. And we see that people who have visited the Bran Castle say the same thing. We see his essence there. We see him there, like if he's still there. Now, this is part of the haunting of the castles. Like Transylvania's people have said the same thing. Like sometimes when you go by Transylvania, the castle that he's been in, like sometimes we see it. It almost looks like he's there, you know. But we know that Vlad has already long been gone. Now, like I said, Hollywood calls him Dracula. His real name, that we would consider that we would done the history on, was Vlad. So for me, I'm just telling you guys this tea. Now, if I had the choice, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't mind being immortal, but I feel like I'd be bored. The hauntings, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't mind. I don't know if I'd want to stay. I don't think I'd want to stay because at night I would be worried about sleeping and getting sucked my blood out of.
I would not be worried about being sucked off at night. Sorry.
Oh God, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, that was the walk-in. Sorry, guys. Yeah, that was.
Y'all were. I know Karli was thinking the same thing. I seen her face.
Oh my gosh, I love y'all. Sorry. Well, like I said, the hauntings in Transylvania and the Bran Castle are definitely similar, very similar. They say that they see the same essence and the same, like people have said, like when they went to go visit or do, you know, paranormal activity things there, like to check, you know how we go, you know, have our times of visits and stuff. People have seen him. Very good, prominent. I don't even know what you would call it. I don't think I would call it an apparition, but presence, I guess, you know? And so, like I said, the whispers of the locals are very similar to both castles. And this is not the first castle he's been in for sure. But the one that they say is his favorite was the Bran Castle, because that's where he stayed most of the time. So I don't know. I feel like he's like most people that we talk about in hauntings and things like that. When they have a home, they go back. But this man had many homes. So who's to say he doesn't visit them all sometimes?
Yes,
This
and
is
I
true.
do believe, like, Hollywood romanticized the vampire. more
Oh,
than they
yeah.
should have.
Hell yeah. Have you ever written a vampire book? It's very
Yes.
easy to get.
And when
You got
I know this is crazy to say, but like how they have a Volturi in the Twilight, I feel like ever since every generation that I've seen come out with their own persona of what the vampire is, they all have that council. Whether it's called the Volturi or it's called a council or it's called whatever, they all have a council that they answer to, and they're not supposed to be talked about. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I feel like, I mean, if they were that being, if there was that being out there, like, you got to think about it. If they're feeding on us, would they really want us to know? You know? They don't.
Yeah.
I mean, from what we've heard and the whispers we've heard from the locals, I mean, there was no remorse in certain things that they did, especially when Vlad too. Like, he had no remorse, is what they say. He was just like a warrior, handled business, had no remorse. Like, there was nobody who ever said they saw him cry. You know what I'm saying?
And over in Romania, they found crypts with people that are long past that had like stakes put in their mouth to keep them into the ground. So they feared these creatures. They didn't romanticize them over there.
Now, am I wrong when I say I know it was either George Washington or Abraham Lincoln? One of them, their family members came out not too long ago, maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, saying that there was a box handed down from one generation to the next from one of those presidents, and it had supernatural, I guess it would be like a supernatural safety kit, like against vampires. Like, this was like a vampire hunter box. I'm not sure which president it was, but I know it was one of the president's family members, like, had this box like sent down each line of, and it was very journaled about how vampires exist, that they hunted them, that these beings that exist, and that they had no remorse. They had no remorse for our life. They didn't really take us serious.
And in Pennsylvania, I can tell y'all, there's a vampire museum that has old kits in it. You can actually go look from like the olden days.
One of the things that they used to do too was, I had read up that the ones that they thought were vampires before it was actually known, when they accused somebody of being a vampire, and that they had thought, and somebody had said, whatever and all that, they were pulling out their fangs, they were pulling out their teeth, so that they said that they couldn't regrow or rebirth or come back, in other words. You know what I'm saying? So, like, there's history that shows that not only was there stakes, were there boxes that were hunter boxes, I guess we call them, but there was actual proof that they were pulling teeth, because they found out that if you pull their teeth, they are not able to reincarnate, I guess you could call it, or what I'm saying, like revamp themselves, or you know what I mean?
We're gonna take their teeth, so that motherfucker can't come back.
Can't drink nobody's blood.
And it was always their
It
was always their canines they took, the canine teeth.
The ones that we were known to that would poke us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, I don't even know, like, I've even watched the really good, I just saw the other one where they talk about Vlad when he was actually Vlad. It's a Dracula movie, but it was when he was Vlad, and they talk about him being in the war, and he fought, and like, I mean, he seemed to be like a really strong person, but also good at heart. You know what I'm saying? But the way Hollywood has made things out to be, I feel like maybe he was. Because think about it. When we look at Twilight, these vampires live many different lives, right? Maybe Vlad was one and decided he wanted to live in a world where there was war, and he would be okay with.
I'm a 100% like Twilight fan. Like, I will watch that over and over again. I just finished it not that long ago, again, because I'm still obsessed.
My girl,
Vlad the Impaler, like, he is nothing like the Collins.
Like,
okay,
I'm not a Twilight fan because I'm older. I think I'm more of a Dracula.
Yeah, Dracula. Yeah,
I just like awkward movies, like Juno. Like, I love that movie. I don't know.
That
it's
one
just
I
like
like.
that awkward, like.
I feel like there's so many different pictures of what they thought a vampire looked like, even from back in the day in the black and whites, where he was bald and he was afraid of the sun because of his disease. Yeah, like that one I watched, but it kind of scared me the way he looked as a kid, so I didn't watch it that much. Then I got into, like we said, the Lost Boys, where there was style, there was the blonde earrings, there was the face, there was the hotness of that era. And then you go into John Carpenter's, where there's very pale but very chic dark black, very jet like stern, and then you have, you know, we
See,
get
I'm
into
a True
blood and it's
Blood
all
fan.
love and looking good. I'm like, no man, I need some rough guys. Like I like that roughness, you know, in my vampires.
See, we all have a fan of, like, I'm a True Blood fan, you're a Twilight fan, we all are a fan of one series. And
Mhm.
I think we all have that moment where, like, what if? What if this is true? What if, like, not like we know it, you know what I mean? But that fantasy.
I have a question. Let's throw this out there before we wrap this up because we're getting a little late. My question for you girls is, if you had somebody who was a friend that you knew you lived life with and they came out to tell you because they wanted your blood. Like, let's say, okay, Mary, let's say somebody like me and you, or me, you and Karli, like one of us wanted up saying, hey guys, look, we've known each other for a while.
I read a book
I'm
like
a little
that,
thirsty. Just want to
actually.
know, you know, hey, how would you take that? What would you do in that situation? Because the first thing I thought of was like, you know, I mean, as long as he doesn't kill me, I don't mind giving you a pint of blood every once in a while.
I don't
Yeah.
mind.
Don't kill me, you know what I'm saying?
I read this
I don't
book
need to know secrets.
that
I don't mind. It's fine. We're cool, you know?
this girl, she turned into like a vampire, and her friend, like, she happened to be one of those people that gave the blood, like she was a volunteer for it, you know? And then she'd be like, okay, she went to her friend, she's like, okay, blood had like,
Hold on, you're cutting out on me. I could barely hear you.
the
Can you hear
blood
me?
had like a chocolate taste to it. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, no, I hear you. Like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, the blood tasted like chocolate, yeah.
Wait, I have a question while we're on that subject of taste of blood. Did y'all see the American Horror Story, Lady Gaga, where she's the vampire? Did you? Okay, one thing I caught about in there, like, they be having some really real stuff in there. So when I was watching that one, Murder Hotel, is that what it is, right? Or something hotel?
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I noticed that caught me as a human being, understanding stuff, discernment, was that her assistant, who was draining the children and draining the woman, said that once that girl was dead, she couldn't collect blood because it tasted disgusting.
A lot of them say that
There's no-
once the heart stops, they have to stop drinking.
Yes, because and I thought that was so crazy because I've seen that
Well,
in the history of
life.
In Twilight.
Life is essence of blood. Once you pass and that heart stops, the essence is no longer there. That's how I took it.
I just thought that was so crazy. Like, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, in the book of Twilight, you actually find out, if y'all haven't read it, like, is that the reason why Edward couldn't stand her smell when she first walked in was because she was on her period. It was her period blood. So when you see him in the movie and he's like, it's so disgusting. You know, he's like trying to hold. It's not because he likes the smell of her blood. It's because she's on her period and that's the blood he smells. It's not because her blood stinks. It's the fact that it's so potent already in her that then she's on her menstrual cycle when he meets her for the first time. See, not a lot of people know that because they didn't read the books, but when you read the books, you'll get the detail about stuff, you know? So my daughter started to read the books and she's like, Mom, how come you never told me? I was like, well, because that's not something you guys should have known at this age. But she read the book. She read the first one.
See, now you're gonna make
books always give you the most details.
That's how true.
Those are the
That's how True Blood is. I recommend read the books over the show. The books are so much better than the show. They make more sense. But now y'all are gonna make me read Twilight. Thank you. I'm gonna go out and get.
I'm not
Twilight.
gonna lie. When I was in
me too. I'll read it with you.
Yeah,
Book club.
I'll reread that one. So like when I was in Palm Mitchell doing hair, I had a friend who was reading those when they first came out as the movies were coming out. So she would read it and then she would go watch the movie and she's like, oh, the books are always better than the books. And she would tell me the things and I'm like, man, I gotta read it. And that's how I ended up reading it. But like, oh my God. You know, have y'all heard the book of It, right? The book It, how in detail and gory that book was? Okay, it's like that only in the Twilight book. And everything in detail is just so explicit. Like I'm like, oh, holy crap. Like what you imagine in your mind is like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like the scene where she has the baby is so crazy when you read the book. So I mean, definitely, I've always been a book reader, so I know book reading is always going to be better than the movie because they can only put so much within an hour. You know, I can read a book all day.
A lot of these series, like my series, the books make more sense, but because they take the series and they expand them, and they have to add new characters and change characters to get the audience to fall in love with that character. But the actual books don't care about that. They care about the author's viewpoint. So I always recommend read the book before the film.
Yes. Read the books, guys. Read them. Trust me. Even if you're not a reader, read them because the detail in them is just chef kiss. I promise.
And if you don't want to read, it's something called audio.
Audiobooks, yeah,
There you go,
literally
guys.
read to you.
I was just thinking about that. I'm like, I wonder if they got Twilight on audio.
They should. I'm gonna have to look that up now. Thank y'all.
You can find us on Amazon Music, just saying.
And Amazon Audio.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. Okay, wait. So how would y'all take that question? I would give some blood. I wouldn't mind. As long as they didn't kill me, I'd be like, yeah, I'd give you some. Don't worry.
I bleed myself.
I'd be like,
so go ahead.
yes, but don't get handsy.
This does not equal sex. Just take blood.
I always, and then by then it'll be weird, and you'll be like, never mind.
Don't get weird.
She just made it weird.
I'll fight somebody else for you for the blood.
And I'll be like, no, but really, come back. I'm ready. Take me. Come on.
Well, because think about it. Like, if the way I am, I'm just a very charismatic person with my friends because I barely have any. So, like, you guys are probably like top 2. I would be like, yeah, don't be weird. Let's just not be weird about it, okay? Just,
And
I don't know how we do this, but definitely.
But my blood is Rh negative.
Oh, nice! You got the good stuff.
All right. Now we know if something like this were to happen.
We know who's
we
getting
go to
picked,
Karli.
who's first to come.
Yeah, I got the Rh negative.
Nice.
Yeah, when I gave birth, I had to actually do a series of shots because my body tried to reject because our blood.
That makes a lot of sense now to me when we talk about your health and stuff like that. Like, it makes a lot of sense now. It's really like you guys with that RH. Oh my gosh! And if you're not watchful when you're okay and you have like a slight sickness in the hospitals, they'll try to continue to keep pulling blood if you don't catch it.
Yeah.
I have noticed that. I have one friend who's RH, and she's like, every time I go, I have to make sure that even though I'm going for something small, like whatever happened to her in the moment that can be fixed, she's like, they sometimes will continue to keep pulling blood, and then I'm just like, well, it's time for me to go. What are y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? So she's like, be very careful if you meet people.
And
like
we
that.
either clot easily or we actually do a 360 and can't clot. So I actually have both. Sometimes I can clot and sometimes I can't clot. Sometimes I clot too much. It's so weird.
Yeah. And there is a positive and a negative to the RH, and that was one thing that I just thought it was RH and RH negative, and they're like, no, there's RH positive, and I'm like, huh, nice. So I dove into that one too. So you're probably the good.
You learn something every day.
You're that Bella stuff.
Yeah.
Hey Bella, how you doing?
Okay, that's weird. No, I'm just kidding.
Gotta make it
weird. That's why I love y'all.
No, I would be like, look, take me. I ate chocolate all week.
And me, I'm like, move, Mary, let her go. She's got the good stuff. If we ever think about it, if it's all three of us and Vlad was coming for somebody's blood, I'd be like, yo, take a pint of her and we'll all leave together. Like, I'll give you the good stuff. Like, she's got it. Like, why take me? I'm a little sour. Mary may be a little sweet. She's perfect. Like, but can we have her back though?
Yeah. Now,
the way my like spicy stuff lately.
now,
Ooh.
did you ever hear about somebody eating all citrus fruit before? What? That cut out.
Stinking Wi-Fi.
What?
I was gonna say, if we ever all become vampires, the first thing I want to do is have a race with all of you.
Yes, I would.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
We all know who's winning, the good blood over there. I have a feeling that if you were ever to have turned an RH person and they actually survived it, I have a feeling that they would be a lot stronger because their blood was a lot different. You know what I'm saying? So like if you enhance when you become a vampire like Bella did, I guess, into her best self as a beginning, I would think that if you had the best blood that you would be a little bit stronger than one of us, you know what I'm saying? Not that I don't love my own negative, you know what I'm saying?
But with the RH negative, with the RH gene, it actually causes a lot of disconnect with stuff too. It does. It like to give birth, I literally had to go through shots just to keep a child.
You know, I just saw a paper about it too. I read it. I don't even remember what college it was, but I remember because I read a lot of those papers. They said that they did a study on RH and negative positive, but the RH blood is considered to be not of this world.
Yeah.
Like, I came from this earth, but like they're saying that RH may have been a being that came.
And here's another weird thing. None of my 5 kids have it. And it's normally handed down. Yeah, it's normally handed down.
I love that though. I love knowing that. Like that is very interesting scientifically. You know what I'm saying?
It is
Like how is
because
it that you winded up and then they didn't? None of them.
no, and the doctors kept checking all of them because they were worried about it. None of my kids got the gene, and which I'm kind of glad they didn't because of all my health problems.
Do you see
But
the
at the
health
same time, I'm like, ain't that kind of weird? Because genetically speaking,
Wait,
they
so
should have.
exactly right. Okay, so my question is this: do you know your kid's blood type?
Most of them are O positive.
Okay, that's good though. That's a good thing. O's a good one. I know O's and O positive is a lot better than O negative at times, just depending on what happens. But like, yeah,
But it's
that's
still
still a
weird.
strong bloodline though. I still feel crazy about that though too, about how you like as a mom, because like I have my own kids too, like, and I know you do. I would be dumbfounded about that. Like I would be so wild about that too. Even now
It
talking
is.
about it with you, I'm just like, wow, how is it that none of your kids got that RH?
They didn't.
I mean, but considering, like you said, like sometimes because of your health, like you probably wouldn't have wanted to pass that gene on because you've been through the sickness part of it. You know what I mean? But O is a very strong blood, and I can tell you, like, if you teach your kids to eat to the O bloodline, it will definitely take care of them. Because that's what I do now. I eat to my blood.
Yes.
Whatever's good for my O negative, I just and I have noticed that my strength when I work out, my strength when I'm doing exercises, like it's just like a supernatural thing that happens.
It
If you
does.
eat to what is good towards their blood, yeah, like it literally feeds your body and you get so strong. Oh my god, I love it. Oh. All right, witches.
Okay.
Ghouls and goblins and vampires and all you guys we love. Time to wrap it up. We love y'all.
And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And blessed be everyone. Bye.